Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. So in this video we have some very exciting news. I'm sure you've heard MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, have released details of Phase 4. Absolutely awesome. As soon as this news dropped, I'm sure the entire world's jaws were on the floor with all the awesomeness that Disney and Marvel have coming out in Phase 4 with their TV shows and movies in the whole awesomeness that is Marvel Phase 4. There's obviously a couple more movies and TV shows that they haven't revealed just yet, but this 10 movie TV show lineup just looks absolutely incredible. And in this video I am going to be doing something slightly different. Instead of a movie slash TV show review, we are going to be looking at the Marvel Cinematic Universe slate for Phase 4 that has been revealed so far anyway. And yeah, I just can't wait to start talking about each of these movies and each of these TV shows with you guys. I'm really glad that after, the epic conclusion that was Endgame and the bonus movie that was Spider-Man Far From Home, that they're going to be resting the Marvel Cinematic Universe for a little bit, because they were just churning out movie after movie after movie after movie after movie after movie, and it was awesome. And that ride that we were all on was really cool, but I'm kind of glad they're going to rest it for a little bit and then kind of explode the entertainment industry again with these new suite of movies and TV shows, which we are going to be reviewing in this movie slash TV show announcement review. So I'm going to be talking about the movie and TV show announcements in chronological order from release date. So not from when they were announced, because they were announced in different orders, but from when each one is going to be released. So first up we have the Black Widow movie. Finally, Scarlett Johansson has her own solo movie, which is really cool. And the other thing that's really cool is the time in which it's set in. So it's set between Civil War and Infinity War. There were loads of rumours before Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 4 announcement that the Black Widow movie is going to be set all the way in the character's past, which would have been interesting, and I'm sure they'll reference it. But I think it's really cool that they have set it in the timeline that we've seen all the movies in. So it's really cool that they've kind of gone back in time a little bit. And it's really cool that they've kind of got the movie set in that time period, which should be really awesome. We also have announced the villain for the Black Widow movie. So the villain is Taskmaster. Those of you that don't know who Taskmaster is, he's a really tricky foe because he can memorize all of the different movesets from his opponents. So he's going to be a formidable foe. I'm sure Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow will be able to fight him, but it should be a really interesting movie from a heroine and villain perspective. It's obviously really sad what happened to the Black Widow character in Avengers Endgame, so I'm secretly hoping that in the post-credit scene they will show that Black Widow has woken up after Steve Rogers / Captain America returned the Soul Stone back, which means the sacrifice that Black Widow did could have been undone. I'm sure they won't do this, but you never know, it could happen. So next up we have the Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show. So this should be really interesting because both of these characters have always been secondary to Steve Rogers' Captain America in the Captain America solo movies and in the group Avengers movies as well. So it would be really nice to kind of have both of these characters kind of center stage or kind of leading the way. And it'd be really interesting both from a character's point of view in terms of Falcon kind of taking up the mantle of Captain America and Winter Soldier kind of trying to redeem himself and kind of be viewed as a hero in this world and not as a villain as he was for a very long time as the Winter Soldier. So it'd be really interesting to kind of see the dynamic between these two characters, to see whether or not there's other cameos, maybe Steve Rogers might be in there, and yeah, kind of see these two characters kind of taking center stage and kind of maybe having their own movie in the future. Next up we have the Eternals movie with an exceptional cast, including Salma Hayek and Angelina Jolie, and I'm really glad that we finally have some Asians in the MCU now as well. The Eternals movie has been rumoured for a very long time, but it's nice to kind of have an official release from MCU, Marvel Studios themselves. And MCU has an excellent kind of background with team-up movies, including Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers, so I'm sure that the Eternals will be no different. Next up we have Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe's first Kung Fu movie, which would be a really interesting exploration for the MCU. And this movie has the apparent real Mandarin in there, after the fake Mandarin from Iron Man 3 played by Ben Kingsley. It'd be really interesting having that character meeting the real Mandarin. It'd be really interesting kind of seeing those two together, but anyway, this should be a really interesting film. And apparently, if you look back in the back catalogue of the MCU films, then apparently some of the rings have been in there. So maybe there can be like a scouting video coming out by someone whereby they'll identify all these rings that have been rumoured to be from the real Mandarin. Next up we have WandaVision, which reunites Scarlet Witch and the Vision. And this TV series is actually set after Endgame. So a lot of people thought that the Scarlet Witch and Vision TV show would be set way in the past. But actually, this one is set after Endgame. So it'll be really interesting to kind of see the continuation of the journey of these two characters. Obviously, Vision was killed off in Infinity War brutally by Thanos. But maybe Shuri was able to kind of keep his consciousness outside of the Mind Stone. Either way, whatever happens, it'll be really interesting to kind of see these two characters kind of continuing their journey. Maybe Wonder Man can come in here. That's another character that fell for Scarlet Witch, so it'll be really interesting to kind of see those three characters back together. So yeah, it'll be really, really interesting to kind of see what direction this TV show takes. Next up, we have what, in my opinion, is the best titled MCU movie ever, which is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. What an awesome movie title. When I first read this, I was like, is this like some fake news or is this true? So this movie title is official and it just sounds so awesome. We'll finally have the MCU truly exploring the concept of the multiverse. It's obviously been teased in a couple of movies now, but we'll officially be able to go there with Doctor Strange, which would be awesome after all of the fake multiverse news by Mysterio in Far From Home. This movie actually also features Scarlet Witch, which should be really, really interesting. Obviously, she'll be fresh out of the WandaVision TV show. It'll be really interesting to kind of see her character with Doctor Strange and kind of exploring this whole multiverse with all the different kind of concepts with the multiverse in there. And apparently we'll be seeing the true form of Scarlet Witch as well. And obviously the Scarlet Witch character has kind of been shared between Marvel Studios and Fox. But now that the two studios have combined and now Disney owns Fox, it'd be really interesting to kind of see this character kind of explored in her true roots with the whole kind of X-Men background, and to kind of really explore what this character is all about, because she is an absolute powerhouse in the comics. So we can kind of see that version of the character kind of coming to life in this movie. This movie is also apparently going to be Marvel Cinematic Universe's first scary movie. I think it's still going to be PG-13, but it'll be really interesting to kind of see how Marvel Cinematic Universe kind of takes the concept of a horror, thriller, scary film. So this movie I am incredibly excited about. Next up we have the Loki TV series, and unlike WandaVision, this TV series is actually set in the past. It will pick up after the events of Endgame, whereby Loki of the past used the Tesseract to suddenly disappear, and it will pick up to kind of see what happened to that Loki after those events. And obviously the Loki that we saw towards the end of phase 3 was obviously a reformed, redeemed Loki that was kind of not as much of a villain, but it was actually kind of borderline becoming a hero. That Loki is not going to be the Loki of this TV series. This one is going to go back to his kind of evil, villainous, mischievous kind of days, and you know, we'll kind of see that kind of darker Loki kind of getting up to all sorts in this TV series. So it should be a very different kind of TV show to what we've seen before, with a kind of anti-hero slash villain kind of at the front, and to kind of see, you know, will there be Thor in this TV series? Will he kind of become reformed and redeemed again? Will he kind of see that version of himself? What will this mischievous Loki kind of get up to? So this TV series has an incredible amount of potential in there, and I can't wait to see what adventures Loki gets up to in the past. Next up is another TV show that I am incredibly excited about, this time an animated TV series which is called What If, and it explores what would have happened back in the MCU if certain events had turned out differently. What would have kind of the consequences been? What would the future be? What would the reality be now? So it should be really, really interesting. The Marvel comics have a big history of kind of doing loads of different what if stories. So it should be really, really cool to kind of see this in animated form. And all of the actors from the MCU are back to lend their voices to this animated TV series. It hasn't been announced whether or not Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans will be back as Iron Man or Captain America. I mean, you can't surely go back to the MCU without these two main characters, right? But, you know, whether or not they do or don't come back, whether or not they'll have other voice actors coming back to play them, who knows? But I'm hoping that Iron Man and Captain America will be featured in the What If animated TV series. Next up, we have another TV series, this time called Hawkeye, which brings back Jeremy Renner in playing the famous character as Hawkeye / Ronin. And this TV series has Hawkeye kind of passing the torch on to the next Hawkeye, which is going to be Kate Bishop. We haven't got an announcement as to who will play Kate Bishop, but it'll be a really nice TV series to kind of have the Hawkeye mantle be passed on from Jeremy Renner's character to the new Bishop character. And finally, we end on an almighty high, and I mean that literally, because we have Thor 4, which is going to be called Thor Love and Thunder, which is just going to be set to be such an epic and awesome movie. We reunite Chris Hemsworth and Taika Waititi, which I have mixed feelings about, because Thor Ragnarok, whilst it was an interesting, cool movie and funny movie, I just feel like they kind of pushed the humour too far to the point where it stopped being funny. And I just hope they get the balance right this time. We also have Tessa Thompson back in this movie as Valkyrie, and we also have Natalie Portman's Jane Foster's character back, and she is going to be playing the female Thor. So it should be really, really interesting having all of these characters back. I'm sure they'll put Loki back in there as well, so it's set to be an awesome film to kind of bring all of these characters back. It might be Chris Hemsworth's final movie, who knows? But either way, this is set to be an awesome film, and I can't wait to see Thor Love and Thunder. And by the way, the logo for this movie looks awesome. So as I'm sure you'll agree, all of that was incredibly exciting. 10 awesome movies and TV shows coming out by Marvel Studios, which I cannot wait for. They didn't officially announce them, but they did tease, you know, Captain Marvel 2, Black Panther 2, The Guardians 3, Fantastic Four, and Blade, which are just going to make Phase 4 just absolutely insane. They kind of teased X-Men as well, which I am incredibly excited about as well. X-Men are my favourite team-up group of characters, and I just cannot wait to see them being done properly by Marvel Studios, so that's really, really cool. They didn't announce Spider-Man 3, which obviously we know is going to be coming out soon. I think they want to kind of have the Marvel and Sony deal officially agreed for movies after Spider-Man 3, so maybe they're waiting for that. Maybe they're going to introduce Venom, who knows what they're going to do. But Spider-Man 3 is another movie that we know is going to be coming out, but hasn't been officially announced just yet. They obviously haven't announced the next Avengers movie, but we do know that Kevin Feige kind of teased the fact that the next 5 years have been planned by Marvel Studios. So, you know, that will obviously have another big team-up event. Maybe it's going to be Secret Invasion or Battlefield, or who knows what's going to happen. Maybe Ultron will be back. Who knows what they're going to do. But, you know, there will be an Avengers movie coming out soon, and it's going to have a different look and feel in there. Obviously, the main characters that we've seen in previous Avengers movies kind of ended their time with Endgame. And I think the new Avengers are going to have, you know, characters that we know, plus new characters. So it should be really, really cool to kind of see what they do with the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They didn't announce Ant-Man 3 either, which I think is going to be coming out soon as well. But, you know, those characters are really, really cool. They've kind of kept them alive. So, you know, if they're not having their own solo film to kind of conclude the Ant-Man trilogy, then I'm sure they'll be featured in an Avengers movie. But either way, you know, tons to talk about. I'd love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.